stream this event. This is special for us here this weekend at Spooky Empire. And before we get things underway, I'm going to hand things off. He is the Assistant Director of Entertainment Production. Let's get loud, let's get crazy for the one and only Dan Shaw!
Everybody, we are incredibly excited to be here. I'm hoping you're all excited to be here as well. As Kate Cadet said, my name is Dan Shaw, and I am the Assistant Director of Entertainment Production. And I've been a producer on Halloween Horror Nights for so many years now. And HHN has been a part of my life for almost 20 years. And I'm just so incredibly excited to introduce you to some of my colleagues that I get to work with all the time, and to really take you on a behind-the-scenes look at how we design, develop, and produce HHN. Does that sound like something y'all want to hear about? Then without any further ado, let's give a warm round of applause for all the rest of our panelists. Let's have them come on out here. All right, we have Ramon Herrera, Nicolette Singer, Kelsey Ambrose, Wendy Finnick, Patty Braswell, Melissa Kilpatrick, and Nick Collins. Big round of applause for everybody. So we're going to take about 30 minutes or so here to just kind of talk you through, like I said, that behind-the-scenes look of how we design, develop, and produce such an incredible event. And then we're going to hopefully have a little bit of time for a Q&A at the end, and maybe have a little surprise or two along the way. Does that sound great? So we're going to kick us off. I'm going to start with Nicolette here. Nicolette, let's give a round of applause for Nicolette. We love Nicolette. Actually, we're going to do a quick introduction. I think that's a good place to start. Let's start with Ramon first. So if you want to just tell us a little about yourself.
Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Ramon. I am a show director with the creative development team at Universal with entertainment. And currently I'm working on Halloween Horror Nights 2024, which we're all really excited about, right? And I get to work with these awesome people on the daily, so I'm very, very fortunate.
Hey everybody, I'm Nicolette Singer. I'm the producer of Halloween Horror Nights from the entertainment production team, just like Dan. Love Halloween Horror Nights. It's been my whole career that, ever since I started at Universal, I actually started as this character. So this is really full circle for me, and I'm really excited to be here. Hi everybody, this is super exciting. I'm Kelsey. I am the production manager for Halloween Horror Nights this year, so I work very closely with Dan and Nicolette, and also very closely with everyone up here. Hi, I'm Wendy Finnick. I'm a lighting designer in technical entertainment. Been at Universal for 13 years now, so I love Halloween Horror Nights. It's a passion project. This is my first time at Spooky Empire though, so excited to be here.
Hi guys, I'm Patty Braswell. I'm a senior manager with the technical entertainment team. One of my co-workers is Wendy Finnick. I work with an amazing group of hundreds of technicians that make Halloween happen, managers and then designers like Wendy, who help make sure that this is a reality for you guys. Thank you.
I'm Melissa Kilpatrick. I'm field scenic producer for Halloween Horror Nights, and I'm fortunate enough to get to work with some of the most creative people on the planet. Been at Universal for 16 years, seen a lot of wild and fun stuff, and looking forward to seeing some more wild and fun stuff coming out this year.
Hey guys, I'm Nick Collins. I'm a senior scenic designer in the entertainment department, and been with the park about 13 years, and worked on a lot of the houses you guys have probably gone through 100 times. So, and I sweat a lot, but I'm not sick, I promise.
Give another round of applause for our wonderful panelists. We're gonna jump on in here and just start talking through how we bring an HHN house to life. So I'm gonna start with Nicolette. Nicolette, we obviously start really early on in the process. It takes us a long time really to get things going. Can you talk us through how early we start?
Yeah, so Believe it or not, we've actually started on HHN 2025 already. So it's about a 15-month process, and we sit down with our creative development team and our technical entertainment team, and we figure exactly how long we're gonna need to concept all of that out, and then how much time we're gonna need on our end to figure out the how to bring that all to life. And we can't really do that until our lovely friends over here in creative development start to concept those things. So that's really the first step. So I'll pass it over to Ramon to talk through that.
Yeah, Ramon, I think that'd be a great thing. So if you can talk us through that concept phase, really, where you have an idea, we all have an idea of what we want to do, but you start to flesh out what that looks like.
The process is so collaborative. It usually starts in one big room with like 20 to 30 people all coming together, throwing ideas on the board to figure out what concepts we want to move forward with, right? There's show directors in that room, there's scenic designers, costume designers, a whole myriad of people who come together to come up with ideas to see what we can move forward with. Once we decide what concepts we want to move forward with, then a show director and a designer are assigned to that haunted house, for example, and then from there they meet and start to flesh out the scene by scene, what are the environments we're looking at, what are some cool scares we can do, and then from there the thing just kind of grows and grows and grows, and we get to a point where we can then start passing stuff off to our costume, makeup designers, lighting designers, to start to bring all of those elements to life. So it starts with a spark of an idea, again, people throwing things on the board, and we all see what we gravitate towards, and then we pick our concepts and move forward, and then flesh out the rest of it from there.
No, that's fantastic. And speaking of lighting designers, we happen to have one here on the panel. Wendy, so in this early concept phase, obviously, as Ramon said, some of the tech designers are also coming on board. Can you talk us through what that looks like and how you guys are integrated into that process?
Sure. That's one of my favorite parts of the process is we're given the environment, we're given certain asks, but we're able to add our layer. That's when like all these tech layers start getting added, and oh, it would be cool if we could do this. Oh, well, what if we, created this thing over here? And then the collaboration kind of starts to grow and grow and grow, and we all kind of bounce off of each other. So we also, you've been there, your path is, we like it to be nice and cozy, so it's super scary. We all have to figure out, how do we all coexist in here? How are we delivering the scares, making it look cool, making it interesting, but keeping it immersive where you're not focused on the mechanics of things, you're still in the vibe of the house, but you're also entertained.
And so part of that design too, again, obviously the tech design is starting to be fleshed out. Nick, the scenic design as well, obviously at this point, is starting to be fleshed out. And you're in, as a scenic designer, you're also in some of those early concept conversations. Can you talk us through what it looks like on your end?
Sure. After we finish the creative development, we go and we kind of incubate for a little bit about all the ideas that we've talked about. We'll go and we'll do research, period style. If there's an IP, which is an intellectual property, whether it be a movie or a film or a book, we'll do research with that. Video game, and then we'll start doing sketches. We'll work with our other designers to find out if there are things that we need to accommodate, like putting speakers in a room so that you don't see them, things like that. Talk about color palettes, all the things you hear about when you hear design. But then one of the cool things that we do is we lay out the houses in a program called SketchUp, which is a 3D modeling program. And we've recently, maybe in the last 3 years or so, thanks to one of our designers, Dylan Kola, I think is here today, kind of got us turned on to using a little more technology. And we're using MetaQuest virtual reality glasses, like this Oculus. It's so cool because we can walk through the haunted house months before we ever see it. We can physically walk through, look at every scare, and the cool thing about that is it really helps us design smarter, because when we walk through, if you turn around and you're in scene 3, you're like, oh no, I didn't know I was going to see part of scene 7 over there. So it's a way for us to kind of do checks and balances and really informs how we flesh out the design so that we give the best product for you guys.
Yeah, and that's a great question maybe for Ramon. As a show director, as we're doing some of that previs, and especially getting to leverage some of these technologies like VR, from a concept of scares, like what are some of the things you learn early on in that process from a scare standpoint?
Yeah, like Nick said, getting to walk through the actual model and see the scares that you conceptualized months prior to, right? There might be certain scares where you're like, in my head, I feel like this is going to be super, super effective, but when you walk through the model, you're like, actually, the way we kind of turn that corner gives the scare away a little bit. Let's revisit how we designed this scene or this scare. So that's the benefit of programs like that, is that it can kind of tell us and show us what might work and what might not work as well as we hoped.
And it's also really fun to mess with people when they have a VR headset on. Really fun. Awesome. So Nicolette, we at this point in the process, we've done some conceptual work. We know what the concept of the house is. We've done design work. We know what the scenic design ideas are, what the tech design ideas are, and so we know what it is that we're trying to accomplish, right? As the producer of the event, one of the things you have to work on is figuring out that how we are going to achieve that. So what does that look like from your perspective at this point in the process?
Yeah, it's that continued collaboration that everybody's talking about up here. Truly, these are the experts in what they do, so it's my responsibility to kind of keep that communication flowing. Okay, we've got this really cool idea, it's exciting. Let's take it past that exciting point and make it reality. A really good example I could give is, who remembers Dueling Dragons, Choose Thy Fate? Yeah. Super exciting house, super cool concept. We all saw it and we're like, whoa, this is awesome. We're gonna bring this retired attraction back to life in a spooky way. But then we all took a moment and paused and we were like, dragons in a haunted house? How do we figure that out? And that took months of collaboration and conversation. What materials are we using? How are we going to accomplish the technical elements that need to go inside of that? What material does it need to be made of? How do people get up there? How do we still make it scary? So a lot of that is just collaboration across here, and then figuring out those really outside of the box things. That's kind of how I look at my role to support these people. We have these really creative ideas. I want to take that off their plate and clear the road for them so that we can truly make it happen and continue to hopefully impress all of you. So.
No, that's awesome, and we're generating, I think, just pages and pages of drawings and documents. And so I'm gonna look at you, Melissa, at this point as kind of the keeper of a lot of those things, at least on the scenic design end. What does that process look like for you as all of the design teams are just starting to kick out all of these ideas and drawings?
It's pretty wild. I don't know if anyone's ever ordered furniture online and it came in a really small box with some really vague instructions. It's kind of like that, but times 1,000. So we get, hundreds and hundreds of pages of detailed drawings that take these huge ideas and quantify those into two-dimensional building instructions. And then we hand those to a bunch of artists, and now we take something two-dimensional and turn it into something three-dimensional, which is quite amazing. But we start with quite a few pallets of lumber, and then next thing you know, we have a maze, and then next thing you know, we have a Dead Man's Pier or a carnival graveyard or some kind of crazy thing that certainly didn't, it's much bigger than the box that it came in. And we often have a lot of extra pieces left over that we still can't figure out where they go.
I thought you were going to say that we started with all the pallets of lumber and then it became all of the drawings that we put together.
That's a different project.
That's also true, yeah. So sticking with this same idea, Patty, similar question for you on the tech design end of things, because the technical designers are continuing to generate drawings and models and everything like that. So what does it look like from the tech design end of things?
So we've been really working hard to integrate our tech designers into that process much sooner so that they can work with people like Nick and make sure that we are able to integrate those ideas in at the appropriate time. So we're not sitting there looking at this giant facade and going, ooh, how do we do that now? We are working at lightning speed, and the amount of collaboration and on the front end, all the things that have to happen, because we might only have literally 2 hours to get something installed, especially if it's in the streets and we have daytime guests coming in the next day. So it's an immense amount of work that goes in on the front end and that design and collaboration piece. So that we can then produce all this paperwork so that our management team and our technicians can start pulling all that together to make that a reality.
Awesome. So Melissa, at this point, we're really, like you said, we're starting to move into the build, right? We have our designs, we have our plan from the production team, and we're starting to move into the build. And one of the things that you're uniquely responsible for as the scenic field producer is to keep our vendors on task, but also to make sure that what they're building is achieving our original design intent. So can you talk us through what it is you do out in the field to keep things moving in that direction?
It's certainly a challenge. You know, as you guys know, you can't really quantify art, and one of my favorite lines a production designer told me a long time ago when he was being rushed, it says, art doesn't come out of a can, it just has to evolve. So really, we let the artists do what they do. If we feel that we're starting to back up, we kind of choose our battles. You know, you guys walk through as a guest, you have a certain facing view, so we want to give you the big spots, the things, the hero moments, and then we'll fill in the rest later. But it's really, it's quite a challenge because, you know, nothing ever assembles quite the same as you hope it will. Plan A is a mythical creature that I've never encountered. I hope to one day. So yeah, we just do the best we can to make it come out as well as we can, but on time. Nicolette gets really happy when we do that.
And meanwhile, Nicolette is helping generate plans B, C, D, and F, all the way to Z. So similar question for you, Nicolette, as we're moving through this part of the process with the build, and again trying to keep the vendors moving in the same direction, and all of our teams moving in the same direction to achieve that creative intent. What does it look like from the production end of things, as far as trying to keep everything moving in the same direction?
Yeah, it's a lot of spinning plates, right? And making sure that they keep spinning in some way, shape, or form. I truly look at us as a resource and a support system for the group that's out there. Melissa is obviously the expert of what's on those pages, and she'll collaborate with us and talk to us about how that's going. We'll go out and support her in those conversations with vendors. We'll all work collaboratively with the technical entertainment team who comes right behind those vendors to figure out how we can come up with some creative solutions to make sure that everybody can get what they need and stay on task and get to that finish line so that we can put out a product that we want to put out that we're really proud of on time.
And then you have Kelsey there next to you trying to catch all the plates as they're starting to fall and put them back up on the pedestal, right?
That's right. Kelsey is really the true owner of that process, and I try to support her as best as I can. And some of those things that become those bigger like how-tos, because I'm a little more removed than Kelsey is, I try to offer that guidance. But Kelsey's really the owner of that piece.
So Kelsey, during this part of the process, again, we have some unique challenges that come up. But one of the parts that you're responsible for is really helping come up with various solutions to those problems, right? Whenever something comes up, everyone turns to production and says, what do we do? You know, and you're really at the front line of that. So what's the process from the production end of things when those do come up, when we have to come up with a solution on the spot?
Yeah, so really, again, I couldn't do any of this without all of the incredible people up here and our wonderful teams that we work with, our partners. So a lot of it is just communicating with everybody. So I'm trying to keep track of where we're at and if something's being delayed or if we're needing to adjust a schedule. That affects everybody, right? All of the schedules we do are like puzzles, and it's like a domino effect. So a lot of it is, you know, getting meetings together and trying to find the little gaps where everybody's available during all of our busy schedules and just trying to come up with solutions. And like Nicolette mentioned already, our team is really there like to provide that support and be that resource and make sure that things are getting done. But the experts are the ones who we have to invite to those meetings to, you know, see what everybody's ideas are to make sure that we stay on the right track.
Awesome. So at this point, as we're moving again through the process, we're obviously still in the build phase, what we call the build phase. But really at this point, as we're working through this, the construction is done, the scenic is done, the decor has gone in, our lovely decor teams have added their layers, which really brings everything to life. We see Melissa cheering them on. We love our decor teams. They absolutely are. Looking at the technical end, which is the next layer that goes in, Wendy, can you talk us through what it looks like to bring all of those elements together? And one of the unique parts that you're responsible for, and the entire tech team really is responsible for, is making sure everything works and is delivering on the creative intent. So what does that look like from your end?
So it's a very symbiotic process. As Kelsey and Nicola were saying, we have to be in communication with each other all the time. Where are you at on this process? What are you waiting for? What do you need? And we're all helping each other get what we need to keep. It's really like a train. Once a train leaves the station, there's no stopping it, right? Like once the first construction starts on the first house, that piece moves on, and then scenic, and then lighting, we're last. So we're the last car in the train. It's a really cool thing. I think the paperwork that gets generated in the beginning, it might sound boring, but it's really crucial because we have to be organized. I have to know that there's a speaker going there so that I don't put a light there, or we have to know that there's an effects gag going here, and there are safety measures that have to be taken. So everything has to be accounted for so that we can get in there and do it once correctly, hopefully the first time, and not cause any delays. So after we're done, then we start doing reviews, which is, I really love it, because now the collaboration happens in the 3D environment where we can really look at, oh my gosh, we made this thing, and here it is, and then it's like, how is it working? Like,
I mean, seeing it come together is I think for all of us really is the best part, right?
Yeah.
And it's incredible when we're able to do that. I want to stick on the topic of the technical installs, and a question for Patty. We're talking about a lot of different layers that go in, especially on the technical end of things. Can you talk about some of the other technical layers that go in as well at this point?
So sure, when we talk tech, most of you guys know that's your video, your lighting, audio, effects, show control, all of that's coming together, right? But we also have some technical aspects that we lean on other partners within Universal to help us out with. Whether it's an engineering piece or even our attractions partners, what is it that we're doing from a technical perspective that isn't meeting the parameters that those teams know are right by our guest. So as we work through our process, and I will say, I think over the past 5 years, we've gotten really good partnerships with like our EHS teams and things like that to really make sure that you guys have an uninterrupted experience. And it really has been an amazing process to watch. And I think that, those collaborations as they build, it only helps us be able to deliver bigger and better things to you guys because we know that we can do it safely, right? So those are some of those like technical aspects that maybe we don't think of so much, and it might be a little on the boring side for some people, but it's because of those collaborations that we're able to really amplify on the tech side.
When we're really going through too, and Ramon, maybe you can speak to this a little bit. We're really going through as we're building things, as we're developing things. And learning what works and what doesn't work, and trying to catalog that for all of ourselves. We know, okay, we're working on 2025. This is working really great. Let's maybe use this in 2025 too. Can you talk us through, Ramon, a little bit about that, what that looks like? Because I know we have some go-to things that we use and things we know that work. What does that look like?
Yeah, oftentimes the things that you think are going to go one way based off previous experiences in Halloween Horror Nights always go in a different way, right? So you think that and we do learn from our past experiences, but the event is so unpredictable in that way, right? And I think that's why we always say that for creatives working on an event like Halloween Horror Nights, the key thing that you have to have is flexibility, because things are always in flux and changing on a day-to-day process, right? So I think having that flexibility, understanding that the thing that you thought would go in this way might not go in that way, and then when you realize it doesn't, being able to shift gears, right? So having that flexibility and being able to lean on our partners to help us make the product the best that it can be, I think is an essential component to have.
No, 100%, yeah. Wendy, you touched on it briefly, but at this point in the process, we're looking at reviews and really trying to make sure that what we are seeing in front of us, right, what we have put together is checking the box of the original creative intent. So one of the first reviews that we have is a design review. Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, I love the design review. So show directors there, scenic designer, lighting designer, audio designer, effects designer. I mean, everybody is there. Video designer, decor teams. We're all looking at everything finally in one place. We're walking through in show conditions, and you know what's working. Does it need to be brighter? Does it need to be louder? Does it need to be scarier? Do we need to move this actor over here? Like it's really fun to get to kind of zhuzh it in person. It's so much better than just doing it on a piece of paper or a computer. And then we bring in people who are kind of outside of our team, and they can experience it, and we can see their reactions too. And like, oh well, to Ramon's point, you have to be flexible. You have to be ready to turn on a dime. Things change quickly, but sometimes things work out in ways we didn't even expect, like better. And it's like, wow, that just happened. Cool, let's do that again. That's like when that happens. It's.
I think there are so many times where each of us have gone into a design review or a tech review or what have you. And sometimes we have just an idea in our minds of like this is going to be what it's going to be, and then we walk through and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much different and so much better than what we even thought it was going to be on paper. And those are the great moments that I think we all enjoy.
Definitely.
Yeah. So sticking with the same theme, Patty, we have a design review, but then we have a tech review as well, where we're going through and trying to make sure, again, checking that box that does it deliver on the technical intent. Can you talk us through that a little bit and some of the things we're looking for?
Sure. So as we walk through and we're looking at all these technical elements coming together, for the most part, up until that point, a lot of us have only seen this one element going or that one element going. So to Wendy's point, when you see it all come together, we bring along a team with us they're all looking through a different lens, right? They all bring something different to the table. They've all had different experiences, different backgrounds. And that's one thing that's really unique to our team, because of all those different backgrounds, all those different viewpoints. When they walk through there, even though I've walked through it 50 times at this point, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, you're right. Totally didn't think about that one, but how could I have missed it? And it truly does take that many times of walking through and making sure that, I don't want to say that we become jaded or anything like that, but it's like anything else. You drive down I-4 every day going to work, it starts to become muscle memory, right? So as we're going through and doing all of these installs and all that kind of stuff, like we're passing by stuff and not even realizing that decor has now put in an immense amount of items, and so now we need to go back and take a look at that and see if we can make sure that we're highlighting that so that you get to experience it. So yeah, those tech reviews, that's really where we start to get into the nuts and bolts of, is this all coming together? Is there something that we can do to enhance the guest experience? And also from an operational perspective, that's something that maybe you don't think of when you're walking through, but I mean, think about the immense amount of people and hours and days that these effects are happening, that these triggers are going off. Is it going to work the entire time? That's huge. It's a lot of abuse on this tech gear, and that's one of those things that we're also trying to calculate as we do these installs and these tech reviews.
And it's really great at this point because we're, like we said, we're really starting to see it come together. And this really, at this point, once we're hitting these design reviews and tech reviews, it's 95% exactly what you as our guests would see. Which is, again, it's great. It's great to be able to walk through that and catalog some of those moments of like, this is working so much better than we thought, we're going to use it again. And having those moments is fantastic. But at this point, the one crucial element that we're missing, of course, are our scare actors, right? So as we're going through this process, really as we're coming up on the tail end of the process, Kelsey, I'm going to look to you because, like we said a little bit, you're responsible for overseeing this process throughout. But one of the unique parts of your job is managing the rehearsal process, getting all of our hundreds of performers rehearsed and ready to go for this event. Can you talk us through a little bit about what that choreography looks like and just bringing all of that together in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's when it gets super exciting, right? Because we're having all these performers start to come in for the rehearsal process, and everybody's finding out maybe where they're at, or people who have been there previous years, a lot of veteran performers. This is a really exciting time when we're like, okay, this thing's about to open. But rewinding months before that, just like I already mentioned with many things that we do in this process, the rehearsal schedule is built months before rehearsals actually begin. And then we start casting, when I say we, not me, but we start casting, and then those hundreds and hundreds of performers are being cast and then handed over to our team. So throughout that process, we then bring on our seasonal leadership team. They find out, what areas they will be managing for the year, and then we throughout the process will tweak that rehearsal schedule as needed, based on our partners' input as well. But then we gear up for rehearsals. We have our leadership team. They're reaching out to the performers. They're making sure they're aware of the dates, getting them scheduled. Oftentimes, when a rehearsal actually begins, we may have multiple groups there on the same night. So it's a lot of organizing and making sure that things are being done, and we're using that minimal time that we have to make sure everyone's ready when the operation actually begins. So.
Well, and it's an incredible dance, right? Like if you ever get a chance, I see some scare actors out in the audience. Let's give a round of applause for them. We love scare actors. And it's such an incredible dance if you've never seen it. Just seeing our wonderful costuming and makeup teams, getting everybody fit into their costumes, and handing it off to our show direction team. Ramon, can you talk us through a little bit about the rehearsal process from the show direction and what you're looking for and trying to achieve?
Yeah, the rehearsal process for me is my favorite part of all of it, right? Like Kelsey said, it's not until our scare actors come in and actually try on the costume, wear the makeup, and get in the boo holes to do their scares that the haunted houses in the event comes to life, right? And we as show directors feed off of their energy because they come in so excited, and that boosts our excitement in turn, right? So it's such a cool process. It's a very collaborative process. We have a team of performance coordinators that are extensions of the show direction team, and they work hand in hand with the scare actors to block and work through what the scares look like, right? And again, we work with a lot of veteran scare actors, so there's a lot of collaboration there and kind of taking their feedback and seeing what they feel works and what doesn't work, right? And just making that a fluid process. So it's so cool, it's super collaborative, and again, it's like that final march to the finish line right before we open, right? It's my favorite part of the process.
Well, it's where we put a bow on it and say, this is ready to go for our guests to see. And then it's, again, that's just another level of excitement for all of us. It's done, it's ready, let's see what they say. And it's a great part. So that is really our process of designing, developing, and producing these houses. And the same process goes for our scare zones and our shows. We follow the exact same process for everything we do. And so that's the process. What I wanted to do before we turn it over to a little bit of Q&A is we all were talking, and we wanted to acknowledge the fact that we're just a small fraction of the amazing team that puts HHN together. So I would love to just get a round of applause going for all of the other teams that bring this event together. All of our decor artists, our coordinators and experts, our tech teams, our writers, audio, video, effects, all of our management team, all of our designers, all of our show direction, and of course our performers. So thank you. It's such an amazing group of people that get to come together to make this an amazing event happen. So we're incredibly excited to just share this with everybody, and to really rely on each other. As we said, it's an incredibly collaborative process, beginning to end. So we're going to open it up to a little bit of question, Q&A. So I think what we talked about is anybody that has a question, we'll have them come around to the side here of the stage, and then we'll have them ask the question of me, and we'll get some answers going. So we'll give a minute for anybody with questions to come on up.
I'm wondering what you guys would recommend for getting into the creative aspect of Halloween Horror Nights. Like, what do you guys do? What process would that look like for someone just wanting to get into it?
It's a good question. So if you didn't hear, the question was, what does it look like to, what's the process of getting into the creative aspect of things? Ramon, do you want to touch on it a little bit, and maybe Nick as well?
Yeah, totally. It's so funny because everybody on the show direction team, we all have different pathways how we got to where we are, right? But the common thing that we all share is a passion for the content and a passion for creating. So I would say try to figure out what it is that you like to do, whether it's directing, writing, designing, costume design, makeup design, whatever it is that you want to do specifically within the creative bubble. Find out what that is and take tangible steps to move forward in that direction, right? Again, a lot of us started as scare actors. I think everybody currently on the show direction team started as performers at Universal. So that's an excellent gateway into the Universal bubble, right? So you can get your foot in the door with things like scare acting for Halloween Horror Nights. And then just find out what it is you want to do and just take those tangible steps to get you closer and closer to your goal.
Awesome, and then another pathway, of course, is in some of the other design elements. Nick, can you talk us through that pathway?
Sure. Being able to communicate with a piece of paper is paramount. You don't have to know like all the craziest software and things like that, but just being able to sketch on a napkin is really helpful to be able to explain your ideas. A lot of people come to us and say, "Oh, I'd love to design haunted houses," and I'll say, "Well, what haunted houses have you designed?" And they're like, "None." And I'm like, "Oh, well, you have to start someplace." So even make up a fake haunted house and put it together. And that's how some of our designers that currently are working with us got started with us. They just had a passion, and if you want to do exactly what we do, just look at what we do. Look at the content that we create and think in those terms. But don't put any specific thing on a pedestal. You have to soak up a lot of things and do a lot of research. There's no way you're going to know. Sorry, I'm not a tech guy, so there's no way that you're going to know everything there is to know about certain architecture and things like that. So you do a lot of research and soak up and just learn everything that you can about a little bit of everything, and it'll really serve you well, especially on the creative and visual creative end.
Awesome, thank you. Great question.
I just wanted to know what is your favorite prop or animatronic that you used in the scare zone or house, like Old Smoky or the Chupacabras?
Interesting question. So if you didn't hear it, what's our favorite prop that we've used in a house before? Let's see, I'm gonna look to Wendy, maybe give us maybe what your thought was.
There's so many good ones, it would be really hard to choose. This is gonna be a weird answer. I'm a fan of the pukers. Whenever we have like a puker, I think it's
Was it we call him Billy? Is it Billy, is that his name?
Is that his name, Billy? I don't remember. But
Yeah, he has got a name though.
Our effects designer is here.
Stan, he can stand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Andrew Campbell's our effects designer, he's here.
Oh, indeed, thank you. Awesome, anybody else? I think I'll let you go.
I'm actually going to go to Chupacabra because that was my first project as a production manager, and figuring out how we can bring that creature to life was really exciting, and then seeing it come on property and exist in the space and really sell the story of the Chupacabra, which I also grew up with, which was very exciting to me. So that's probably mine.
Yeah, the creatures that we do are incredibly challenging to get them to work the way that we intend, but when we do, it's so gratifying, I think, for everybody here. It's one of the best things that we can when we can see them, because we get that impact, the same impact that you don't get. It's fantastic. Great question.
My question was, are there any specific considerations or maybe difficulties that you guys have to face when designing for scare zones versus designing for a house?
Sure, so the question is, are there any considerations that we need to take when we're designing for scare zones as opposed to houses? I'll answer a little bit actually, and then I'll maybe look at you, Nick. One of the things that we have to look at on the production end is how it all fits into the grand scheme of things, right? How it works with all of our food and beverage partners, our merchandise partners, and how it just looks in the overall aesthetic of the park. Does it work during the day? Is it something that we need to bring in and out because it isn't something we want to put out during the day? So that's definitely a big part of it. And Nick, do you want to touch on the rest of it?
Most of the streets have, over the past 10 years, gotten a little wider and wider and wider, and a lot of that is because we have to consider parade floats that are going through the parade during the daytime, that we can't close off that path. Also, we got to think safely. We have to make sure that fire trucks can get through, because if there were something, we need to make sure that those services can get through the streets. that's probably the biggest challenge, just designing around that. But also, I mean, we have people out in the street on different surfaces, and we have to make sure all of our stuff is really secure and engineered in a way that if there were high winds, it couldn't blow over. And we have a lot of considerations about things like that aren't really part of the sexy stuff, but it's really, really important.
It's a lot that we have to look into.
Yeah. I was just gonna say weather, rain, hurricanes.
It
the
is
sun,
Florida.
The sun, we want it to still look good at night, and the sun's fading things, and we've got power and all kinds of elements out there, so that's a big challenge too.
Nicola?
Yeah, and I would say the logistics of it all. You mentioned, does it have to come in and out every day? What impact does that have on our tech team? How many pieces do they have to move before we can get open? We have an hour to set the park from a normal daytime appearance to Halloween Horror Nights. And if they're having to activate essentially all of the streets, do they have the capacity to go ahead and move 15 pieces in the park and still get us ready for that opening moment? So also considering the logistics and time.
Yeah, we talk about, choreography of different things, and that's one of those highly choreographed moments in that flip of the park. It's amazing to see. So great question, thank you.
And then, so elements-wise, I wanted to know what are some of your guys' favorite elements to put in a house? Whether it be water, vibrations, smells.
Awesome, so what are some of our favorite elements to put in the house? Sounds like a little bit more leaning on the effects side. Patty, do you want to take this one?
Sure. I would say, and I don't want to speak for show direction, but they quite often want to know, when do the smells come? When do we get to experience that piece? So that is always one of those questions. And then obviously seeing everybody's face as they walk through certain areas. It is one of those visceral reactions that happen, right? But it's not necessarily something that you see. So it's, I would say that's one of those elements. And Ramon, please correct me if I'm wrong, but literally at tech review, we don't typically turn them on because they might not be in yet, or we're holding to make sure we have enough for all of you guys to experience those lovely smells. And show direction is we're gonna have smells, right? It's happening, right?
And when we get them, we all go. Even if it's horrible rotting flesh smells, we love it either way.
Yeah, the combination when we're testing out the smells, the combination of smells in that room is intense. Yeah. I think we got time for one more question.
Hi, so my dream job would be working on the event all year round, but this year I'm trying to be a character. What advice would you give to someone who's going to their interview or their audition for the first time?
Yeah, so great question. What advice would we give to a scare actor for the first time? Maybe Ramon and then Kelsey?
So one of the top things that we look for in our auditions is energy. We can feel your energy through your video, through your in-person audition, and we get a feel for your personality, and we can kind of start to figure out where we can place you. That gives us a good idea of how you would perform as a scare actor. So I'd say kind of overall energy and personality are two big things that we look for from our people that are auditioning.
Awesome. Kelsey, anything to add?
I would say we definitely lean heavily on our show direction team for the casting process, and then we take over after that. But I would say availability.
That too.
That's amazing. All right, thank you. I think we are about at time for questions. We want to thank everybody for this incredible opportunity to be here.
Wait a second. I thought there was one more thing we wanted to talk about.
Do we have one more thing we had to talk about?
It's something we wanted to share with everyone. I thought we had something to announce. That's right. We were going to make the first official announcement for Halloween Horror Nights. Is that something you all want? Without further ado, we are thrilled to announce our very first original content haunted house for Halloween Horror Nights 33, the sequel to a fan favorite, Sinema. Oh my God! to the Cary Drive-In for Slaughter Sinema 2, again, a sequel to a fan-favorite haunted house. We're so excited to present you this house at Halloween Horror Nights 33. We're exploring 8 brand new Slaughter Sinema films in this house, one of which is Heavy Metal Hell 3D, which is where this character's from. But aside from the new stuff we're presenting, we're also calling back to some fun things from the first Slaughter Sinema that you, the fans, will appreciate for sure. Charles Gray, Dylan Colath, and everybody who was involved in bringing this project to life poured so much passion into making this haunted house everything you've wanted it to be for years, and we cannot wait for you all to experience it only at Halloween Horror Nights 33. We want to give a huge shout out to Spooky Empire for helping us make this awesome announcement. This is the first time we've announced an original haunted house at a panel, so we're super stoked about that. But we are now officially in announcement season, right? So make sure to keep your eyes peeled on Halloween Horror Nights Orlando's socials for future announcements. We'll see you in the fun.